episode of Two Sisters of a Certain Age, Conversations with a Therapist
and a Doctor.
I'm your co-host, Judy Grant, licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Sophia Grant, board-certified pediatrician and board-certified child abuse pediatrician.
So, Candy, there's been a lot happening between the two of us, trips here, trips there. But
yes.
One thing that I think we really need to talk about, just share briefly with our Tusoka fam, is what happened with Yaya just a few days ago.
Well, Yaya, she casually told me that she was on her way to class and she saw a man go down and lose consciousness. And she checked, are you okay? Are you okay? He didn't respond. And then she told me that people on drugs have a look. And she yelled out, does anyone have Narcan? She has Narcan, but it's at her apartment. And somebody, I think a store owner, had Narcan and she administered it. And then the guy came to. And then, of course, police and ambulance and everything were called. And police wanted to talk to her. And she said, I got to go to class. And so she went to class and she was late for class. And her teacher said, Yaya, you're not usually late. What happened? Did somebody die? And Yaya's like, well, actually, almost. And
wow. That's crazy.
I mean, it is crazy, but it really highlights the issue of narcotic addiction, and how we always, you need to be ready so you don't have to get ready. And I recall that my pharmacy will give out free Narcan, and a lot of emergency rooms give out Narcan. Yep. So I think with the opioid crisis, we should always have it close by, in your purse, in your car, at your office. My office actually has it. Yes. But this is an issue. And I think, the good thing is young people now, they know about it. So she acted without hesitation.
Right.
But I think our generation would be like, what's going on? So it took a 21-year-old to assess the situation, save the guy's life, and go to class.
I mean, first of all, Yaya just knows how to jump into action, right?
She's a badass, yeah.
But I think, this is a really good point to bring up. The opioid crisis is real, and it's happening right in front of our eyes. Yeah. And to be able to teach our children about how to be prepared, whether, it's, a roommate, a friend, a whomever, but just having Narcan at a party, having Narcan available is key. And we also have it at my office. We have it in our residence halls. We have it, just available to people for just this reason. And the thing about Narcan is it doesn't take a professional to administer.
No.
There's no harm or foul if you administer and the person didn't even need it.
Yeah, exactly. And you said we have to teach our kids. I think our kids know. We have to teach ourselves.
Right.
I think, our generation, we're not used to that, but it's kind of been, the kids have been around that. They've been exposed. They've been made aware. It's just like their facility with using this stuff. They're aware. So I think our generation, we need to be aware. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Props to Yaya for thinking so quickly and getting to class.
Yes. And then the thing is, when she got to class, the teacher wanted to know what happened, what did you do, so it kind of disrupted the class. But then it was a good discussion for her. It was a good, college is about learning. So instead of Latin, they were talking about Narcan. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I don't really know how to segue from that, because I think we could spend a whole episode on the opioid crisis in this country. But that was just our preamble, folks.
Right, yeah.
But please do take it to heart, because it is something that we can all have in a purse, in a bag, in a car, and use whenever we feel that there's a need.
Right. So today's episode I wanted to do, because this happened to me a few weeks back, and while it was happening, my office manager said, "Oh, this would be a good podcast episode." So, so I was at work and I got a phone call, Sophia, and I usually don't answer numbers that I don't recognize, but I was like, let me answer this. And then the person identified themselves as a sheriff from the sheriff's department, and they gave, my first and last name. They had my address, and they said, you have failed to appear in court. You were subpoenaed for a grand jury. And I said, oh, so what's next? You're going to ask me for money now? You're going to want some money? They said, well, I mean, we can arrest you because you didn't appear for the grand jury. And I said, I'm going to hang up now because I don't have time for this. So I hung up my phone and I took down the number that they were calling from. And I called back and they said, Sheriff's Department. And I was like, is this thing real? And then I said, listen, I got this phone call from this guy. And he said, oh, yes. And then they said, well, I'm his supervisor. Let me talk to him. And I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. And I, between the first and second call, I put my phone on speakerphone and I went into the office with my office manager and another doctor. And then like everybody in the office were hovered around my phone. And then they're like asking for information. And I said, wait, what's your supervisor's name? I want to speak with your supervisor. So transfer me over to a woman. I said, I need to email you. What's your email? I want to, verify this. And then she gave me a name at gmail.com. I said, I'm hanging up now. So they were attempting to scam me.
Right.
And scamming is so pervasive now.
Yes.
That there are people who just think of ways to scam folks. And, I didn't fall for it. But the thing is, they had my name, they had my address, and they had my office phone number, my name, address, office phone number, and then my cell phone number. And what I should have done is I should have Googled the sheriff's department for my county, because anybody can pick up and say sheriff's department.
Right.
So I would have found out that way. But these people do this in an effort to get money. And I mean, I have been, attempts have been made. Have you ever been scammed?
I have not been scammed.
Yes, you have.
Okay, so my sister's remembering something.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
But I have been, they've reached out to me for any number of things, whether it's something in my text messages or my email, where, they're asking for something and my hackles rise because I'm like, this doesn't feel quite right. And I wanted to actually go through the different type of scams that are currently out there.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm very, very mindful of are those email phishing with a PH, phishing scams. And this is very much on my mind because at both of my places of employment, we do a lot of trainings on this. So they talk about the importance of noticing when you are being phished, and what it is usually some sort of link that you need to open up, right? But if you are at all like wary and mindful of this, what you need to do is check the email address of everybody that comes to you, because often these phishing expeditions, the email address is not representative of the organization that they claim to be. Let's say it's AT&T. AT&T sends you an email, we need X, Y, and Z from you, but the email address is something very, very convoluted that doesn't even make mention of AT&T. But you are so focused on the content of the email that you don't realize that this is a phishing expedition.
Right. And the email will be urgent.
Yes. Always urgent.
So I got my workplace, they will test me. They will send out phishing stuff and want to see if and every time they send me, it's something about my job performance. And you're like, oh God, what have I done? And then and I'm like, and they have a button that you click for phishing, and then it's congratulations, you didn't fall for it. But let me tell you, I had a funny phishing story. I was off on Monday, so I get to work Tuesday, and I have an email saying, "Oh, this is Edible Arrangements. How did you like the arrangement that you got?" And there was a link. And I'm like, I didn't get any arrangement. This is phishing. So I clicked the phishing button and I didn't get the congratulations. So I was like, what the heck happened? I thought that was phishing. So I have a fridge, and I open my fridge and I see fruits on a platter. And I'm like, to the staff, like, did anybody put fruit in my fridge? What's going? No, I didn't do it. I'm like, this is strange. So it was on the top shelf. I pull it out, and it was a gift for Doctor's Day, which was Monday.
Right.
And it was from another team in the hospital, and it had a little card. So it was not a phishing thing. It was a Doctor's Day gift. But since I was off Monday, somebody put it in my fridge. So so the phishing stuff will have a link. It will be urgent. It will be something where you're concerned about your job, or
So let me tell you what it says in regards to phishing. Scammers use fake emails, messages, or websites to trick you into revealing personal information like passwords or bank details.
Yeah.
Now, another scam that I have been made aware of, and I actually went to get my taxes done yesterday. So I'm sitting there with my guy who's doing my taxes, and he asked me if I had any digital currency. And this is all crypto
stuff.
Bitcoin
and crypto,
and I'm not savvy with any of that. So I'm like, nope, no, not me. And he told me that one of his clients was scammed out of over $200,000 with some sort of crypto Bitcoin currency scam. So let me read that one to you. Scammers create fake investment opportunities or promise to recover lost cryptocurrency investments, often asking for personal information or money. So we just need to be so mindful of who is reaching out to us and for what purposes. And this person lost a ton of money.
Yeah, that's not pocket change.
No, a ton of money. Yeah. But then I think of our mother. She's 85 years old.
And thank God she doesn't have a cell phone.
No.
Can you imagine? She'd be homeless if she did.
No, because there are all sorts of scams related to targeting the elder community. Scammers impersonate a grandchild or other family member in distress and ask for money. If one of our kids supposedly reached out to grandma, what can I do? How can I help you? And she would easily, I fear that she would easily fall for that. And obviously a lot of elderly people have.
Yeah.
And have lost a lot of money.
Yeah, but the good thing is mommy doesn't do anything electronically. She's the old lady at the grocery store writing a check.
Well, she doesn't even believe in ATMs. So mommy would not fall for that because she's not in the electronic age.
But I will tell you this. There's another scam where it's like you've won a lottery, you've won a bunch of money. And mommy has gotten phone calls that she's won a lot of money. And mommy, although we were just kind of making fun of her, saying she'd fall for it. Mommy has said to me that she told the guy, well, I really don't need anything. Why don't you donate the money to a charity? Because I don't need anything. And that's the advance fee scam. Like, you've won $50 million. We just need $300 to send it. I mean, if you
Right.
win money, you win money. You don't,
Right.
you don't need
Right.
a loan prize, a lottery that you didn't buy a ticket for. Those are all scams.
So another scam that I want to mention is the romance scam. And I think this happens a lot with people online, right?
Yeah.
They get, what's it called? Catfished?
Yeah.
Right? And they get pulled into this online relationship. It starts off just getting to know each other. Crazily enough, this person is totally in sync with who you are. You begin to fall for this person. You're seeing pictures of this person, which are likely not their picture at all.
And then the thing is, you're a 2 and you're pulling a 12. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. I wasn't going to go there, Candy.
Yeah, but it's just like, you're some dude in some place in some basement, and then this gorgeous 24-year-old woman wants you. Come on.
Right.
Be realistic.
And it can happen the other way around too, where they are addressing, going after women. So this goes both ways, but often, and I heard a story of a woman where this was happening to, and she fell in love with this person, and his business took him abroad, and he needed money to get something out of customs, and they come up with crazy ideas why they can't do it, and I just need to borrow this for next 24 hours. And that's when her hackles went up.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, this isn't right. But so many people are like, I am in love with this person.
Right.
And it doesn't happen overnight. They're grooming you for months and months and
months.
Right.
I heard of a story of a woman who met a guy online and fell in love. She met him in person, and he proposed, and they wanted to, like, say she lived in California, they were buying a house in Connecticut. And so they found a house, and that they both toured. And she sold her house. She packed and she sold her house and used the money as a down payment. And then they met with the realtor and signed documents, and she put her money in. She drove across the country, and the house wasn't for sale. I mean, that is like a long con.
That's next level.
Yeah, that is, and it was over a year. But this person made $200,000 on that woman.
Right.
In 1 year. So he probably has 3 or 4 scams going. But course. That is a long con. That is horrific. Absolutely horrific.
Yeah, and I think, when it comes to these romance scams, we all want to find love. We are social beings, right? So
get a dog.
But Candy, it's not that simple. When someone's paying attention to you, it's you put your heart out there. And unfortunately, this is real.
This is real. Right.
So tech support scams. Scammers impersonate tech support representatives and offer to fix non-existent computer problems, often gaining remote access to your devices.
Yeah.
Right? This is one that I have I get these text messages and emails frequently. Oh my gosh, we have a great job opportunity for you. Right?
For a job you didn't apply to. Yeah.
We found your name. Your resume is perfect for this. I'm like, is this even therapy? Like, what is this? And I immediately know, like, wait, this isn't real. And so it says scammers often fake job opportunities, often promising high pay with little effort. You'll make $3,000 in your first week for, 5 hours of work, and then ask for money or personal information.
Yeah, because they ask for your bank account number for direct deposit, and you're filling out these documents that you would fill out at a regular job, and then they steal everything. Right. And then when I didn't have a Mac, it doesn't happen on Macs as much, I guess. But I would get these pop-up things where it's like and I couldn't get out of it. And it's like
Yes.
the only
Yes.
way to get out of it was to click on it, and
Yes.
then they have your information. But with those, typically all you have to do is log off,
Right.
and then it will
Yes.
go away. But don't fall for that, tech support paid this much.
Right.
And then another thing is, like, they'll have these like great looking apps that, oh my gosh, a home decorating app where I take a picture and then you pay $50 and it's free, and then you click on something, and then they have your money. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Another text message thing that I've been getting pretty regularly. It's like a text that comes through and it says, "Hi, just wanted to check in and see how you're doing." And you're like, "Wait, I don't know
Who
this
is this?
number. Who is this? What's going
Mm-hmm.
on?" And then so I usually am like, "Sorry, wrong number." And they're like, "Well, what's your name?" And then they're like, "I'm Emma and I am so and so." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're just trying to lure you in."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to look for one, but I typically delete them. But again, they they are so deceptive and so
Yeah.
good that you
Yeah.
can easily fall for it.
One I saw this week was, and I think I did a screenshot of it, is somebody will say, "Hey, mom, I got a new number. Here it is." And then like change your number, and then it's a scam. Let me see if I can find it. Um,
Okay.
oh yeah, here we go. "Hey mom, hope you're okay. My phone broke this morning. Can you text me back on my new number when you see this?" And I don't know how they get information or whatever, but
Right.
I mean, I would know that this is fake because my kids don't call me mom.
No, no.
And
That's
then the
first clue.
spelling was off, so my kids wouldn't have that mistake, you
But you know
know?
what, Candy, that brings up a good point. A lot of times these scams are coming from outside of the United States with
There
people
you
who do
go.
not speak English as their
Yeah.
first language. And so these emails come through and you're like, "What's up with the spelling?"
Yeah, or
Right?
the language,
The
or it's awkward.
it's awkwardly written
Right.
and it's like this isn't at all professional. Something is amiss. So don't just think this person doesn't know how to spell. That is a huge red flag
Yeah.
when you're getting these emails
Yeah.
with spelling. Okay.
Um, I have one.
Yeah.
The IRS contacting you by phone to let you know that you owe money.
Right.
IRS will never contact you by phone. They'll always write you. You'll
Yes.
get something in the mail, and then it'll say you owe back taxes, or like with me, you miss jury duty, some governmental organization. But
Mm-hmm.
the IRS will never just say, "Hey," and then imagine the IRS saying you owe $6,000. Can you pay me in Target gift cards? These scammers will want you to buy gift cards that
Right.
are going to be untraceable. No government organization is going to want a Walmart or Target gift card
Right.
as
You,
payment.
I thought of a scam that I did fall for. I'd forgotten about this. Back when, I don't know what you're thinking of, but
Let
this
me
is
see if
back,
it's the one.
maybe I've
Mhm.
been duped multiple times.
No,
But when I was looking for a puppy,
that's the one I'm thinking.
I was like cruising different sites and I found this puppy and the website looked legitimate. Everything felt legit.
Hmm.
And it was from out of state, this
Yep.
super cute doggy. And I forget how much the puppy was going to be, but they wanted like 200, $300, something like that to secure the pup
Hmm.
before moving forward with this. And you're calling this place and you hear the dogs barking in the background and you hear them interacting with the puppies, and it feels very legitimate.
Hmm.
Um and so what you have to do is go down. I went down to CVS and I wired, the $200 to whomever this was. And afterwards, it's like, okay, let me call back. Hey, did you get the money?
No answer. Beep. Phone dead. Yeah.
Um, Let me try emailing them.
Yep.
And yeah,
I
boom,
remember,
gone.
yeah, that when that happened, and then you have kids who want a puppy, and you just, that's kind of part of the excitement
Yep.
that lets your guard down when you have the kids saying, "Oh my gosh, he's so cute."
Yes. And believe me, I know a number of people who got puppies in a similar fashion
Hmm.
that were then, the puppy flew to
Hmm.
California. They went to the
Right,
airport. So I'm like, this is not
right, right.
totally out of the ordinary.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you just have to do your research. And then another thing in that puppy vein is, you could have a real puppy in front of you. They say, this is a 100% Doberman pinscher. And then it grows up and it's like a pit bull German Shepherd mix. So you
Right.
can get scammed where they tell you it's one breed and it's not
Yeah.
that breed.
Right.
And then also in that whole puppy scam is you could buy a dog and the dog is really sick,
Right.
because they
Yes.
don't care about the doggy infections, So
Mm-hmm.
that whole puppy thing, it's just breeding ground for scams. And let me just say, uh, adopt adopt a
Adopt.
pet puppy. And I got Miss Raina, and she's just the sweetest thing from a shelter or a rescue. And they're vetted. And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the scam that I fell for. Yeah. That was probably like 8 years ago.
Yeah, before you got Jaxie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
probably eight years ago. Um, so fake check overpayment scams. Scammers
Oh
send you a fake
yes.
check
Yeah.
and ask you to send a portion of the money back to them.
Yeah.
You
Fake
know,
check. Yeah, cashier's check. They can look real,
yes, they can. And
but
then
yeah.
I have gift card scams, charity scams, identity theft. And then I go into how do you protect yourself? Be cautious of unsolicited emails, phone calls, or
Hmm.
messages. Don't click on suspicious links or provide personal information unless you initiate the contact.
Yeah.
Okay. And like Candy's example with the sheriff's office, this sounds kind of like, wait a second, like, did I do something? Did I not, like, am I possibly in danger of truly being arrested?
Right.
And
Right.
that fear factor motivates you to want
Of
to fix
course.
whatever the problem is.
Of course. I remember when we were all listening at my office. I said, I'm too pretty for jail. I wouldn't survive jail. And then my partner said, oh, I know I wouldn't. I said, I know, no, you wouldn't survive jail. And you know what I said about Yaya? I said,
Oh, yeah.
if my daughter was arrested, she'd run the yard.
Yes.
I'm going to knock on wood. It's just a joke. Yeah. But,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, too funny.
yeah, but when it comes to identity theft, now I've been the victim of
Yes,
identity theft.
me too.
The scams, you have to be actively involved to participate, to unwittingly give your information or your money. But people steal your identity. And one of the best things I did, well, first of all, I I called the credit reporting bureaus,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
TransUnion. What do you?
Experian.
And there's another one.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I call them and say, I've been the victim of identity theft. And I put an alert on my social security number.
Mm-hmm.
That means if I go into a store and they said, do you want to apply for a credit card today? You get 20% off. I can't do that, because what happens is they need to call you and verify on your cell phone. And then even if I apply for a credit card myself, I will get declined. And then I get a letter in the mail stating why I was declined. And then there's a number that I have to call to kind of lift
Yeah,
the,
yeah. So,
the stop on my SSN.
Candy, I don't know if you remember, but when I was at NYU, I went to a party at our uncle's house
Mm-hmm.
and left my purse. Everybody left their, you throw your purse and your jacket on a bed. And
Mm-hmm.
someone came and rummaged through purses and stole like cash
Really?
and driver's license and what have you. So, of
Did
course,
he ever figure out who did it?
no, Uncle Keith did not have a clue.
Uh-huh.
Um, but what happened after that was things were being put in my name. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've never done that. That is not me.
Yeah.
And via the Social Security Administration, they then sent me like my income report every couple of years so I could check the employer
Yeah.
to see like, is this me? Is this not me? So our agencies do have things in place to help you monitor
Right.
your own your identity and what's
Mm-hmm.
out there, what's being noted as you. So you can always ask for those reports from the Social Security Administration to ensure that the things here are indeed you.
Right.
So I got
And
that for a number of years.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like having a block on my social security number because I have, it's kind of like a little padlock. I do feel more secure in terms of identity theft.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that being said, I don't put stuff with my name in the trash. I have a shredder here to get rid of any type of important documents with identify, you know, and you can get a shredder for $20. I think that is helpful for protecting yourself also.
Okay, I want to share some of the things that they say that you can do to protect yourself. Verify information before sending money or sharing personal information. Contact the company or organization directly.
Yeah.
Um, Verify information. Okay, wait, did that. Don't trust offers that seem too good to be true.
Hmm.
If it sounds too good, it's likely, not
Right.
valid. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Be wary of requests for upfront fees or payment in unusual ways. Scammers often ask for payment through wire transfer, gift cards, or cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And report suspected scams to the authorities. Report fraud.ftc.gov.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the attorney general for your state would probably take those reports.
Mm-hmm.
Um, another one that I can think of is the I'm traveling and I lost my passport
Oh, yes.
and I need money, that type of thing. So
Right.
that's one.
And it feels like those are like so random.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait, I don't even know who you are. Like, I'm not sending you money.
Right.
Or they try to impersonate like your child or your, a sibling or something like that. And they're not calling you. It wouldn't be you calling me so I can hear your voice.
Mm-hmm.
It would be some other insidious way of getting to me. Like, Judy, I need money. I'm in Vietnam. I'm like, Candy, you're in Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Right.
But again, just different ways to pull you in. And
Right.
whenever we think it's a family member and someone we love, it's like, oh my gosh.
Right. And they can clone phones, but I think one of the things that you do, and they always want you to stay on the line because they don't want you to hang up and then call your loved one on the phone.
Right.
But that is, if you're with somebody, you can have somebody else call, or But I mean, chances are nobody's being kidnapped. Nobody needs the money, so you know, yeah, it's pretty bad.
It is bad. And I think there are a lot of us who are clearly vulnerable for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. If it's a puppy or a loved one or, fast cash, we are vulnerable to these things, but we need to be, so guarded, because once that information gets out there, once that wire has been sent, there's no way of getting it back. And thankfully, in my case, it was just a couple $100.
Right.
It wasn't 200,000 like this guy that my accountant told me about yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. Another one is the Venmo. Like, oh my gosh, I accidentally Venmoed you money. I'm so sorry. Can you Venmo it back? And then you're like, yeah, I'm not going to keep money that's not mine. Okay, here it is. And then come to find out it's fraud. So, you just really have to be wary. Don't believe stuff. Don't fall for it. Verify, look stuff up, get
Mm-hmm.
somebody. Anytime somebody's asking you for money and then it's super urgent, they don't want you to think. They want you to make irrational decisions. So kind of check around with folks. Like, does this make sense? So when I
Right.
had the call on speakerphone and my medical assistant was saying scam, scam, scam,
Right.
um, and then the thing is they will use names of real people, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because when I did call the sheriff's department, the people I was talking to, yeah, they did work there. Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
Uh-huh. That's good. Yeah. But I think, one of the things that I asked for is, can you email me all this information from your sheriff's,
Mm-hmm.
email? And they're like, well, you need to come down to the courthouse. And you're afraid that you're going to be arrested when you get to the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, be wary. Who wouldn't fall for scams is your daughter, Maxine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maxine is one of the most guarded and safe people you will ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
She has always been like that, so she immediately she can shut that down very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
That's so true.
When my kids, my older two and Maxine, they
Oh,
were in Europe,
I was just thinking this. Mm-hmm.
my son, I think he was going down some steps, and like when you're facing and then they go to the side and you can't see, and then it was kind of like this happy kind of and after it was done, Maxine said, that was sus. Check your pockets. And my son's cell phone had been stolen in that encounter.
And then the three of them put a locator on it, and were trying to find it, and they ended up at some like big apartment building, and they would
Yeah.
have no idea of where in the
And
apartment building.
when in Rome, don't go hunting for thieves.
Right.
Don't do it. But
No.
I felt like because I was back in the States and I was the one calling the cell phone company to stop and to deactivate and doing all of that. I mean, they had a lot of little kind of mishaps that caused me to have to do stuff on the back end, like when they got to their Airbnb and it was horrible,
Right.
and then I
That's right.
had to change to another one. That's another scam, is like rental scams where you see something on Craigslist and you send some money, and when you get there it doesn't exist, or
Right.
people are there that or Airbnb. I mean, all anything electronic that makes it really difficult to locate or find,
Right.
just don't do it. And when you do book rooms, make sure they're highly reviewed and
Yeah.
people are
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. And
And
Google.
I want to say, as you're talking about the kids going to Europe, how to protect yourself when you're traveling. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I always, and they have bags that are anti-theft bags. Like a scissors can't cut them, a knife can't cut it. I use a crossbody so nobody can get anything from my back. So my things are right in the front, with a zipper that is attached to something else, so
Mm-hmm.
it's locked. So we need to also be mindful of being safe when we are traveling, because we usually have our passports in there,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah, and
that's gone,
yeah, and the hotel safe is not a safe place. And
right,
another thing I do when I travel is I have a color copy of my passport, because if your passport is stolen and you have to go to an embassy, you need some type of, just something to verify and to make it easier.
Yes,
and a lot of these European places, when you check in, they want your passports. I'm like, why do you need my ID? But why do you need to keep it? I get that you need it. And I learned from a fellow traveler, she just gives them a copy of her passport and it's laminated. Right. And she and her husband just, if you want it, here you go. But I'm holding on to this document.
Right. Yeah. And I make copies of my passport before I travel and I leave them at home. I have an extra copy with me, so on and so forth. So we moved a little bit away from the whole scamming idea concept to this travel safety. But I think it's all in an effort to ensure that you are safe, whether you're at home or whether you are abroad. So just, again, being mindful of the things that are out there, recognizing that we can all be in vulnerable positions, but that's when we need to be even more aware and mindful of, like, who are these people? What do they actually want from me? And being able to shut it down quickly before you get into, a precarious situation.
Yeah, be vigilant.
Be vigilant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Soka Fam for joining us today on this episode of Two Sisters of a Certain Age. We just want you to be careful out there.
Protect the coin. Okay?
Protect the coin.
That's what they want. They want money. They want money. They want your stuff. So protect your money, and hiding it under the mattress doesn't work. But, be vigilant about how you share your information. Update your passwords. Update your password, change your password. I have password fatigue though.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I get the notification that my password has been seen on the black market or the black web or the dark web.
I've not heard of that. No.
Yeah. I get those like, your password. And I mean, honestly, it's like the same password for years. So like, pay attention when that pops up.
Okay. Candy, how can our folks reach us?
Well, we are on YouTube at Two Sisters of a Certain Age. Also on Instagram. You can email us at sokapodcast@gmail.com. And I guess that's it. So if you think of any ways that people scam that we didn't mention, you can write us or just reach out to us on Instagram and tell us, and we can talk about it, share.
Yeah.
So
we would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
No Longer Network.